Hello from Istanbul. My name is Erik Blackthorne, and I'm a PhD student candidate at the Middle Eastern, South Asian, and African Studies Department at Columbia University, and I'm going to be joining ANAMED this September as a research fellow. I don't really know how to start this kind of video, but I think first I'll talk a little bit about myself, and then I'll talk a little bit more about my dissertation project, which I'm currently in the process of gradually researching and writing. I'm excited to meet my colleagues at ANAMED and in the coming months, and I'm really looking forward to learning from everyone and developing my project alongside their work. But first, a little bit about me. I'm originally from Peterborough, Ontario, the Electric City, and I completed my bachelor's degree in the Near and Middle Eastern Civilizations Department at the University of Toronto. After this, I moved to Istanbul, and I completed my master's degree in Turkish Studies at Sabancı University. My MA thesis was entitled Song and Stage, Gender and Nation, The Rise of Canto in Late Ottoman Istanbul, and was focused on a genre of musical cabaret called canto and the social and cultural context in which it emerged. Following this, I moved to New York and was accepted into the doctoral program at Columbia, and currently I'm in my 5th year at Columbia, and I'm now in the process of completing my dissertation, which has the tentative title of Persian Letters, The Politics of Language in the Late Ottoman Empire and Qajar Iran. In the meantime, you can check out some of my published writing in Kadim Dergisi, the Journal of the Ottoman and Turkish Studies Association, and in the online magazine Beş Harfliler. But here, let me stop and I'll talk a little bit more about my project. In essence, my project traces how literary and aesthetic debates on the reform of the Ottoman Turkish language during the late 19th and early 20th centuries framed and utilized the notion of Iran, Iranians, and the influence of the Persian language. And so the first part of my project takes the period just before the First World War as its main point of focus, and here I explore the variety of anthropological, geographic, and literary depictions of Iran in late Ottoman discourse produced during this time. And in particular, I look at linguistic treatises, political tracts, and the speculative fiction of people and writers like Ömer Seyfettin, Halide Edip, Yahya Kemal, and Ali Ekrem, as well as Iranian expatriates in Istanbul like Akhundzadeh, Malcolm Khan, Kermani, Al-Afghani, and Hussein Danesh. And the second part of my project studies how linguistic interventions in the Turkish Republic and Pahlavi Iran drew from these earlier encounters of Iranian and Ottoman intellectuals in Istanbul, and reflects on the lingering effects of this mutual process of cultural estrangement in contemporary language, and in particular the survival of Persianate terms related to deprecated modes of desire and self-identity. And ultimately, what I want to argue is that the prevalence and important structural role of this Iran motif is actually a crucial missing element in current scholarship on the various processes of Turkish linguistic and literary modernization. However, in order to ground these studies of intellectual debates and changing discourse in a study of social life, my dissertation also features brief interstitial sections in between the major thematic chapters, which trace the evolution of the Validehan, a building complex in the historical peninsula of Istanbul, which has historically been the center of the city's Iranian community. So these interstitial sections, which begin with the official visit of Nasr ad-Din Shah to Istanbul in 1873, and end with the contemporary usages of the space, are juxtaposed with the discursive developments discussed in the main body of the work. So beyond giving a sense of chronological sequence and geographic focus to sections which otherwise kind of overlap in time and space, these sections also are intended to highlight the particular importance of Istanbul itself as an urban space of encounter, contact, and crossing, as well as the physical proximity of many of the major central figures in my text. There's a lot more I could talk about, but here I think it'd be good to wrap up. And over the course of the upcoming year, you'll probably find me quite often at the Ottoman Archives, at Ataturk Library, or at the library here at ANAMED. I'm really looking forward to seeing you, and see you all in September.